going to keep this really quick today. So this is probably the best tip I can give anyone regarding a digital voltmeter in terms of getting access to the locations you need to take measurements. So you probably have all seen a probe like this, which is a general purpose probe. It works well. No criticisms of that. Occasionally, you need something a little smaller and a little thinner. This is what's called a backpin probe. It has a blunt tip, so it doesn't pierce wires very easily, which in some ways is good because you don't destroy the insulation, but sometimes you need to pierce a wire or something like that. Then you have other variations of the same probe. You have these little alligator guys. One of my favorites is these little hook guys. And the reason this is my favorite is because of the tip I'm going to show you today. This is the last type of probe. This is called a piercing probe. So you pull this down and you put your wire through there, and then that pin that you see there goes in deeper as you move this, but you put a hole in the insulation, and so for an exterior application, that's a bad move. Okay, so here's the tip. Go to Amazon or go to the sewing store and buy T-pins. They're super cheap. I think like I paid 99 cents or something for this little tub. They come in a couple different sizes. They have a sharp point, which may or may not be helpful for you. You have to consider your own application. And they make these little ones as well. And I've used these for almost 15 years or more. I guess I got a little bit lucky that my mom was a seamstress, and so I think I had seen these around the house. What's crazy is these fluke things are super expensive. I want to say they're like $9 or $8 a piece or something like that. And they're fine. I'm not criticizing them, but they have their limitations. And right now I'm working on a transmission control solenoid issue, and I could not get into the connector because that was too the diameter was too big, and so I needed one of these little T-pins. The other thing that's nice about these is since they're so cheap, you won't mind modifying them. So sometimes I will bend one around like that so I can sneak into a connector that maybe doesn't have really good, like here you wouldn't need it, but sometimes you really can't get into a connector because it's buried in the engine compartment, and you got to sneak around something. So you got to sort of remove the connector, back probe it, and then reattach it. And so you can bend these up into all sorts of different configurations, which are helpful for you, and you won't cry about it because they only cost, 5 cents a piece or something like that. So this is one of the best tips I can give anybody who's working with the DVOM. It allows you to use a relatively common cheap probe like that to just grab the T, and that way you don't have to have a lot of the specialized equipment. But even if you do, I find myself using these quite often because they're sharp, they're cheap, they're thin, and you can bend and manipulate them in ways that you wouldn't want to with that. So that's my quick tip for the morning. I hope that helps somebody. If not, if you hate it, give me a thumbs down and go watch some other YouTube channels. Take care, guys.